शीशे कर दो बांधी देख पहुंच योऽसो भगवान् अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो स्वाखातो येन भगवता धम्मो सुपटिपन्नो यस्य भगवतो सावक संगो तमयं भगवन्तं सधम्मं ससङ्गम् इमे हि सकाले यथा अर्हम् आरोपिते हि अभिपूजयामा साधुनो वन्ते भगवा शुचिरपरिभूतोऽपि पश्चिमाजनकम्पमानसा इमे सकारे दोगतपणाकारभूते पटिगणातु अम्भाकं दीर्घरतं हिताय सुखाय हम सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवान् बुद्धं भगवन्तम् अभिवादि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि हन्तमयं बुद्धस्य भगवतो पुब्बभागनमकारं करोमसि नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स अन्धमयं बुद्धानुसतिनयं करोमसि तं खोपन भगवन्तं एवं कल्याणो कीर्तिसद्दो अभुग्गतो इति पिसो भगवा अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरुष धम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्यान् बुद्धो भगवाति हन्तमयं बुद्धाभिगीतिं करोमसि बुद्धवारहन्तवरतादिगुणाभियुतो शुद्धाभिज्ञानकरुणा इसमागततो बोधेसियो सुजनतं कमलं वसुरो वन्दामि तमां अरणं शिरसा जिनेन्दं बुद्धो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं किममुत्तमं पठमानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणं बुद्धस्सस्मि दासीव बुद्धो मे सामिकिस्सरो बुद्धस्सहं नियादि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिस्सा बुद्धस्येव सुबोधितं नत्थि मे शरणम् बुद्धो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्ढेयं सत्तु शासने बुद्धं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं प्रसुतम् इद सर्वेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहे तस्य तेजसा हान्दमयं धम्मानुसतिनयं करोमसे स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो सन्दिट्ठिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको ओपनैको पच्चत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्योहि। हान्दमयं धम्माभिगीतिं करोमसे स्वाखाततादिगुणयोगवसेन सेयो यो मग्गपाकपर्यतिविमोकभेदो धम्मो कुलोकपतनातदधारिधारी वन्दाम्यहं तमरं वरदं धम्मो यो सब्बपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमं द्वितीयानुसतिष्ठान वन्दामि तं शिरेणहं धम्मस्सस्मि दासीव धम्मो मे सामिकीश्वरो धम्मस्सहं नियादे शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि धम्मस्यैव सुधम्मतं नत्थि मे शरणम् अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्ढेयं सत्तु शासने धम्मं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पशुतम् इदं सब्बेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेशुं तस्य तेजसा। हान्दमयं संघानुसतिनयं करोमसे सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषि अट्ठपुरुष पुग्गला ईश भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुने दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यखेतं लोकसाति। हान्दमयं संगाभिगीतिं करोमसे सधम्मजो सुपटिपत्तिगुणादियुतो यो अट्ठविदो अरियपुग्गलस्वसेठो शीलादिधम्मपवराशय कायचित्तो वन्दाम्यहं तम् अरियानगणं सुशुद्धं संघो यो सब्बपाणिनं शरणं खेममुत्तमं तृतीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहं संघस्सस्मि दासीव संघो मे सामिकीश्वरो संघस्सहं नियादीनि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि संघस्सोपटिपन्नतं नत्थि मे शरणम् अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सज्जवज्जेन वड्ढेयं सत्तु शासने संघं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पशुतम् इदं सब्बेऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेशुं तस्य तेजसा।
कायेन वाचा वाचित्सा संगेन कर्मं प्रकटमया संगोपनिगनात्वचेत कालांतरे संपरितं सन् Reflections on impermanence, अनित्यता का विवेचन।
पेज 44 हिंदी बुक पेज 44 हंदमयम अनिच्चानुसति पाठम भणामसि। आइए हम अनित्य अनुस्मरण का पाठ करें। सबे संघारा अनित्या, सभी संस्कृत चीजें अनित्य हैं। सबे संघारा दुक्खा, सभी बनी हुई चीजें दुख है। सबे धम्मा अनात्ता, सभी धर्म अनात्म है। अध्रुवम जीवितम, जीवन अनिश्चित है। ध्रुवम मरणम, मृत्यु अटल है। अवसमया मरितव्यम, मेरी मृत्यु अवश्यंभावी है। मरण पर्योसानम ने जीवितम, मेरे जीवन का अंत मृत्यु ही है। जीवितम में अनियतम, मेरा जीवन अनिश्चित है। मरणम में नियतम, मेरी मृत्यु निश्चित है। वत अवश्य ही अयम कायो, यह शरीर अचिरम शीघ्र ही अपेत विज्ञानो, चेतना विहीन हो जाएगा। छुड्डो फेंक दिया जाएगा। अधिशेषति पृथ्वी, पृथ्वी पर पड़ा होगा। कलिंगरम एव, सड़े हुए लकड़ी के लट्ठे की भांति। निरर्थम, बेकार। अनिच्चावत संखारा, सभी संस्कृत चीजें वास्तव में अनित्य हैं। उपादव्य धम्मिनो, उत्पन्न होना और व्यय होना इनका स्वभाव है। उपज्जित्वा निरुज्यन्ति, उत्पन्न होकर ये निरुद्ध हो जाती हैं। ते समभूप समो सुखो, इनका उपशमन सुखकारी है।
True and false refutes.
हंदमयम खेमा खेम शरण गमन परिदीपिका गाथायु भणामसि। आए हम क्षेमवान एवं क्षेम रहित शरण की व्याख्या का पाठ करें। बहुमे शरणं यन्ति पव्वतानि वनानि च, आराम रुक्ख चेत्यानि मनुष्या भय तजिता। वे भयाक्रांत मनुष्य बहु प्रकार की शरण में जाते हैं, यथा पर्वतों, वनों, बगीचों, पेड़ों, चैत्यों में।
नेतं को शरणं खेमं, नेतं शरणमुत्तमं, नेतं शरणमागम्य सब दुःखापमुच्यते।
ऐसी शरण क्षेमवान नहीं है, उत्तम शरण नहीं है। ऐसी शरण में जाने से सभी दुखों से मुक्ति नहीं होती। पर यो च बुद्धच्च धम्मञ्च संघञ्च शरणं गतो, चत्तारि अरिय सच्चानि संपन्याय पश्यति। जो बुद्ध, धम्म एवं संघ की शरण जाता है तथा चारों आर्य सत्यों का सम्यक प्रदर्शन प्रज्ञा से प्रदर्शन करता है। दुःखम दुःख समुत्पादम दुःखस्य च अतिक्रमम, अरिय च अखंगम मग्गम दुःखोपशमगामिनम्। दुःख, दुःख का उत्पाद, दुःख का अतिक्रमण एवं आर्य अष्टांगिक मार्ग जो दुख के उपशमन की ओर ले जाता है। एतं को शरणं खेमं, एतं शरणं उत्तमं, एतं शरणं आगम्य सब दुःखापमुच्यति। ऐसी शरण क्षेमवान है, ऐसी शरण उत्तम है। ऐसी शरण लेने से सभी दुखों से मुक्ति होती है।
ध्यान करेंगे और ये साथ में अजान अमरो की टॉक सुनेंगे, आई मी माइन।
Connected to OnePlus 3G and Mr. PL Dhar Galaxy Chavez.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Earlier today, Luang Por asked if I would give a talk this evening, and Ajahn Chandasiri tomorrow, and the image that immediately popped into my mind as I'd just been reading about some undersea creatures was of a vast whale, and then next to it this minuscule little krill. As a little microscopic shrimp sort of looks at this vast leviathan and thinking, well, I'll certainly happy to offer my little shrimp-like bit. But I think we've all appreciated Ajahn Sumedho's vast and whale-dimensioned teachings, and have such a great power and immensity. And even though I lived with him in England and shared monasteries there together with him for about getting on for 15 years or so, it's quite rare that I actually hear him giving teachings nowadays. So I was reflecting on it today, and I think it was here 3 years ago was the last time I heard him give a Dhamma talk. So this is a great treat for me also, a great opportunity to be in his presence and to hear his inimitable reflections on Dhamma, and also just to appreciate the increasing directness and no mucking aboutness. I'm sure there's an English word that covers it, but there's an urgency in a way, and a frilllessness that is very apparent in his teachings. One of the things that is very striking, and in previous occasions when he's taught here and in the monastic retreats and over the years, he has often emphasized these elements of what are called the fetters or the sangyojana, but often not quite in such starkly and clearly outlined ways. I remember last time in 2005 when he was teaching here, and a few days into the retreat I realized, every Dhamma talk he gives is either about self-view or about doubt or about attachment to conventions. So it seems that he's actually outlining the obstructions to stream entry, but not naming them as such, maybe because he's conscious of how attainment-oriented people get, and he doesn't want to be sort of talking about it in such specific terms. But I know, as we all noticed, I'm sure, in this time, that he's outlining these very, very clearly, highlighted, underlined 3 times in red. Sakaya Ditthi, self-view, and Silapata Paramasa, attachment to conventions, so social conditioning and such, and then Vichikicha, doubt. And I've certainly appreciated the clarity and directness of these teachings, and also the sense of how important he feels it to be recognizing this dimension of Dhamma practice, because there's like so many things in life, there's all sorts of different ways we can direct our attention and things we can put our minds on and ways we can occupy our time. But what I've been feeling and reflecting on, and he's certainly been reiterating over and over during these talks, morning and evening every day, is this is the key piece. Get this clear, and everything else will fall into place. If we just get this right, if this is just clarified, and this is seen as central, and we develop an understanding of these qualities and learn how to free the heart from them, then, in a way, all the rest is gravy. There's a collection of teachings that the Buddha gave, and there's many on this area of stream entry. There's a particular collection in the Samyutta Nikaya, the Connected Discourses. It's called the Collected Teachings on the Breakthrough. And in this series of a dozen or so short discourses, the Buddha gives a series of images about the importance of stream entry, which in those circumstances he refers to as the breakthrough. He said, the first one, he scratches the ground in front of him and holds up his finger and says, "What do you think, O monks? What is greater in quantity, the amount of earth, the amount of dirt under my fingernail, or the great earth itself?" Venerable Sir, the amount of dirt under your fingernail is very small, and the great earth, the planet, is very large indeed. And then he says, well, just so, the amount of suffering that one can expect to experience if one hasn't reached the breakthrough is equivalent to the great earth. And the amount of suffering that one can expect to experience once the breakthrough has been reached is equivalent to the dirt under my fingernail. So he had a way of getting his message across. And then similarly, in all the other teachings, he says things like, what do you think is greater, a few grains of sand from the riverbank, or the Himalayan mountains? A few grains of sand from the riverbank is a very small quantity, and the Himalayas are very great indeed. And it's just so. The amount of suffering, the amount of difficulty we can expect to experience, not having reached the breakthrough, not having seen through these fetters, is like the Himalayas. But once that's been seen through, then it's just like a few grains of sand. It's nothing. It's negligible. It's completely insignificant. So then these images that the Buddha puts across are there to get our attention, to recognize, yeah, this is important. That if we get this clear within ourselves, then, and this is really understood, this is going to make an absolute difference to our lives. This will genuinely make our life very, very different, and the experience of freedom, in particular, the experience of peace and understanding, will be incomparably great in comparison to when the mind is caught up with other concerns, other preoccupations. One of the things that actually just at the tea time today that Luang Por was talking about his aim in focusing so much on self-view, on Sakkaya Ditthi, is to clarify the difference between the faculty that we have of knowing or of awareness, and how that gets co-opted by the sense of self. In the morning chanting that we do every day in the monastery, we haven't done the second section of it during this retreat so far, but there's a little section that's reflecting on the Dhamma teachings, and it points out the different kinds of identification with the body, with feelings, with perceptions, with mental formations, and identification with consciousness. And in a sense, that's what this area of Sakkaya Ditthi is pointing to. It's the habit we have of identifying with consciousness. So rather than there being knowing, it's the feeling of I know, I experience, I'm the actor, I'm the doer, I'm the feeler, I'm the one who's experiencing. I'm the one. There's a person here who is doing the knowing, who's the experiencer. And that in clarifying this quality of Sakkaya Ditthi, it's bringing the light of wisdom onto that area, that knot of attachment and that identification that is so much an inarguable, uncontested part of our life. Well, of course I know, of course I experience, I feel. Yeah, I know, I think. Of course. Stands to reason, it's obvious. Everyone does this. And so that's why the teaching has to be brought to bear right on it, because it's because it seems so obvious, it's because it seems so unremarkable, so ordinary. This is why it needs to be really looked at. And so Luang Por has been addressing it over and over again, and it's also in the interviews. It's really wonderful to have a sense for so many of you who are really able to understand this and working with it, and really genuinely freeing the heart from that delusion. So the freeing the heart from Sakkaya Ditthi, literally the etymology of it, Sa means true or real, Kaya means the body or form, Ditthi is the view, so the view of the real body or the view of the real person. It's that, as we're all probably very aware now, it's that assumption of I am the body, I am the personality, I am the experiencer, I am the doer, this is who and what I am. And that by bringing this quality of awareness to that, and just being able to see that the pervasiveness and the matter-of-factness that has, and then to be able to challenge it. This is a wonderful, deeply precious and wonderful opportunity that we have, an encouragement that we have to bring that light of awareness, the light of wisdom of our own hearts onto that, and to get to know that, and just to illuminate it and realize this is a conjuring trick. This is a sleight of hand. This isn't actually the whole story. There's the impression that I'm the doer, I am the knower, I'm the experiencer. But what is that I am? What is that I-ness, that me-ness, that my-ness? Does it really have any solidity, any substance? One of the practices that certainly I've benefited a lot, and Luang Por has talked about, and I've been encouraging a lot in the interviews, is when we get very used to say concentration practice or vipassana meditation, there's a way that we can habituate ourselves to working with thought and mental activity. That we might notice a thought going through the mind. I feel, I think, I want, or I remember, and then the habit or the training is even to brush that aside or to let go of it. So it's just a thought, let go. It's just a thought arising and ceasing, let it go. And then when it's a judgment or an I am thought, I hope, I feel, I remember, I wish, I want, I think. If you ask me, my opinion is all that I, me, my thinking. then in the same way we can follow naturally enough the habit of wanting to let that go and saying, well, it's just a thought, let go of it. But there can be a way that there's a subtle dismissiveness, or a not so subtle dismissiveness to that. Okay, an urge to get rid of it, to wipe it out. This doesn't belong. This is an intruder. Get out of here. And that dismissiveness can actually empower that. That this is a real thing that has the ability to occupy the mind. It's got a valid story to tell, and it doesn't belong here because that's not the story I'm interested in. And so we unconsciously invest in that and reify it by the very effort to push it away, or to, quote, let go of it. So one of the practices that Luang Por has been mentioning a few times, and I find really helpful, is just to bring that in, to get those statements and judgments and get them to speak up. So it's rather like, you got the lights on here. Okay, here we have right at the center in the shrine. You bring it in, put it in front of your shrine, and say, okay, talk to me. I think that it would be much better if I did this, or I wish I wasn't like that, or I remember when. And then also using the nada sound to do this quite deliberately. So when you notice a train of thought going through, and a judgment happening, or a memory, or a plan, or such like, then noticing that, then bring attention to the nada sound, let the mind be focused on that, and then repeat the same statement as it's come through your mind. You know, I really hate such and such, or when the retreat's over, I'm going to, I remember when, and then invite it in, listen to the silence, let it spell itself out, paying close attention to it. What I really want is, I'm a useless meditator. I think I'm really getting the hang of this. Whatever it might be, just let it be clearly stated, and then when you finish the sentence, just again listen to the nada sound. And then what happens is that there's this, in that clarity of apprehension, then we start to intuit the insubstantiality of that thought or that attitude. Something in the heart knows this is just an impression, it is just a thought, it's just a wave of feeling. There isn't anything there. This is not the whole story. And it's not just the mind trying to convince itself of that. There's a direct intuitive apprehension of that. Oh, it's just a thought, it's just an attitude, nothing special. And then we find ourselves much more able to let go of that, and to the heart to be released from that. Now, as we've been working with, particularly with self-view and Sakkaya Ditthi over this time, then, and it might be that you find that it's very effective to work with the mind in this kind of way, and we can really track those identifications with the body, or with our story, or with our personality, and all of those I am feelings. And that there is a certain quality of liberation that comes from attending to that and being aware of that. But also we might notice that even when that Sakkaya Ditthi and the others fall away, there's still can be a sense of confinement, or a quality of limitation, or of burdenness. There's still a subtle, or not so subtle, a hardening of the heart, or a quality of alienation. And at first we don't notice that, because the mind is, there's maybe such a loudness of thinking and activity that we don't notice that extra layers of identification when there's so much kind of noisy activity going on. But it's rather like when all of the guests have left and you've got the place to yourself, and then you start to notice, oh, this place really needs a clean-up. I could do with a tidy here. There's a few cobwebs I didn't notice, and I was so busy with all the visitors. There's a very significant little sutta where a monk called Yamaka, he's having a discussion with some of the other monastics, and they're talking about these different qualities of liberation, and he says, it's certainly the case that I've seen through self-view and doubt and attachment to conventions. He says there's no doubt that the breakthrough has been realized. However, there's still a quality of identification that goes on within the heart. He said it's like a flower, that when you look at a flower, you pick up a flower, it has a fragrance, and you can't say that the fragrance in the stalk or the petals or the leaves, or you can't pick out exactly where the scent is, but there's a scent that gathers around the flower. He says, so I look at the 5 khandhas, and I can see that I know that the body is not self, feelings are not self, perceptions are not self, mental formations are not self, and even consciousness I can see is not self. There's not any apparent identification with any of those coarse qualities of the 5 khandhas, but still there's this feeling of I am that's lingering, right? And so he says that this is a whole different layer of identification that the teachings address. So that whereas Sakkaya Ditthi, self-view, is there in the first 3 of the 10 fetters. So that's part of the obstacles to stream entry. Right at the other end of it, and Luang Por was mentioning this the other day, at the upper end of the scale, in the last 3 of the fetters, there's the quality of asmimana. So the last 3 fetters are asmimana and uddhacca, restlessness, and avijja, ignorance. So this is a really interesting area of practice, because sometimes we might feel like, okay, we can let go of Sakkaya Ditthi. There's certainly there's no identification with the body or the personality or the story. That's all happily fallen away, and that's absolutely clear. That's not who and what I am. But there can still be this I feeling that's not attached to any object. But there's an I-ness, a me-ness, a my-ness that's just floating around, like Yamaka's saying about the scent of the flower. You can't say exactly where the scent is located, but it's there. And that's the image that he uses to describe his own state at that time, and pointing out that he's not fully liberated, he's not an arahant, because that I am feeling is still hovering, is still there. So this is an interesting area of practice for us, and particularly as the retreat proceeds, to be exploring that, even if there isn't a distinct place or a location for Sakkaya Ditthi, for self-view to be located. It's not around a story, it's not around the body, it's not around our personality or our age or our gender or anything. But still, is that feeling around, the I, me, my feeling, not tied to any particular experience or object whatsoever, but still hovering there. One way that we can use to work with that's helpful is the use of inquiry and asking those questions, as Luang Por has been describing, who am I? And exploring that question, or just even making a statement. I find it very helpful just to, again, using the nada sound or focusing the mind on that, then just raising the statement, I. Just that, no story, not even a setting for it, but just bringing that up into consciousness, I, or I am. And then in bringing that up, as that's raised, and noticing what's the effect on the heart when that's brought into being. And then similarly, when that when that's brought up and that's explored, then how we can experience a quality of transparency to that, and how it can seem disorienting in some respects. What a strange thing to think. I. Or me. It's basic, cardinal assumptions about life, about experience, and the source of our being. And that is when we bring that into the focus of attention and look at that directly. Something in the heart goes, oh, what an odd thought. And the habitual density or compacting, the contraction that happens around that thought or that assumption or that attitude, then in that moment it can be released. It can fall away, and the heart can be freed of that. So this is really clarifying this attribute of awareness or knowing, that it's a freeing of that awareness from any kind of quality of alienation, our identification. Like in the chanting that we do, we say, the Buddha is the knower of the worlds. And that the Buddha, which is the refuge, is this very quality of wisdom. It's this very quality of knowing. But so much of the practice in developing this aspect of the meditation is about how to establish that quality of awareness and knowing without there being any I, me, or my feeling around that. And this is what is really meant by taking refuge in Buddha. It's being that awareness, but without any solidification of the I or me or my feeling around that. It's tricky to do, but it's also it's the crucial element. It's the fundamentally liberating element. The more that this quality of awareness can be truly freed from any kind of conceit. Asmi mana literally means the conceit of I am. Asmi means I am. Mana is conceit, the conceit of I am, as the heart freed from that conception, that conceiving of an I, that is such a pervasive habit. Then the more that we naturally experience freedom. Sometimes I like to think of the I is like the prison bars, like I, that fence the heart in. That's like that's the jail. Because oftentimes we think, well, how can I free I want freedom. I want to be free. We all want to be free, but the savage irony is that the person is the prison. The I is the imprisoning agent. And another element of the practice that we can run into is, and in developing insight meditation and this quality of wisdom, is that we can somehow abstract the aspect of knowing, and in a way make ourselves into some sort of sterilized witness. Sometimes we'll talk about, you'll hear teachings talking about the witness consciousness, or being the observer, or even being the one who knows. And so in the very effort to establish that witnessing or the observer or the one who knows, that there can be this strange and subtle way that we sort of turn ourselves into some sort of closed-circuit TV camera. We sort of become this data reception unit that's receiving and attending to experience and feeling and thought, but doing it quite accurately, quite thoroughly, and watching everything, and seemingly following all the instructions, being the observer, being the one who knows, being the witness. But if you notice if this is something that you've been aware of, you'll notice there's a strange kind of sterility in that as well, isn't it? There's sort of a weird alienation, even though there might be a clear tracking of all of the data. there's a kind of sterility and barrenness, a lifelessness that goes along with that. One of the qualities of the Buddha then is not just being the knower of the world, but also there's in the mixtures of in the different characters there's Vijacharana Sampanno, which is we've translated perfect in knowledge and conduct. I think. How does it? Perfect in knowledge and conduct, right? We keep changing the translation. But. So that vijja is knowing or awareness, but it's also it's combined with activity or conduct. There's a way that those things are conjoined. So it's not just the Buddha principle is not just an abstracted awareness that's totally disconnected from the living world, but it's also utterly meshed with the world of beings and things. There's a fundamental attunement to the sense world that goes with that unentangled awareness. Now, this is a tricky principle to understand conceptually, but it's also really important to get a feeling for how these work together. Because sometimes when we're trying to sort of be the witness or sort of not, and Luang Por's been stressing a lot, sort of not doing and not getting, not trying to become anything or get things. So there can be a sense of hands off, I'm not supposed to do anything or want anything or interfere or practice anything, heaven forbid. But there can be that sense of I should somehow disengage. And that assuming that quality of awareness brings with it a sort of passivity or a disconnection, but that's not what really is being embodied in the Buddha principle. Is the quality of awareness, because there's also utter attunement to the world, a sensitivity to people and things, time and place, and a tremendous respectfulness and love for the world. And the other evening, Luang Por was talking about this, how metta and upekkha are very fundamental principles in terms of Dhamma practice, and using the terminology, saying these are not conditioned, they're unconditional, not unconditioned qualities. This is interesting to reflect on in this way. So, one of the other things that I like to look at, or I feel embodies this blending of both total detachment and total involvement, is the word that the Buddha used to refer to himself, which is Tathagata. And this is one of those themes that's really useful to pick up and explore, because the word Tathagata, again doing a little etymology here, it has two parts, and for centuries, millennia, there's been debate on what exactly the Buddha meant by coining this word, because he invented the word himself, apparently. So he invented it to refer to him, his own nature, and to the enlightened mind. So tat means thus or such, and gata, like Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, means to go, is from the verb to go. And then agata, if you have an A on the front, means to come. Gata is to go, agata to come. So is it tat agata or tata gata? Is it gone to suchness or come to suchness? Is the Buddha totally gone, utterly beyond, completely liberated, totally detached, utterly transcendent? Or is the Buddha principle totally here, utterly present, immanent? Has it arrived at suchness or gone to suchness? Here or gone? And there's one of those wonderful moments in Buddhist academia where D.T. Suzuki in one of his books says, the word Tathagata is totally untranslatable. It is utterly beyond any kind of description, and then spends 14 pages taking the word apart and riffing on it and explaining what it means. And so, but D.T. Suzuki is not the only one. Over the centuries, many people have analyzed this word and tried to say what the Buddha really meant. And so, in that tradition, I also put in my little krill's worth that the feeling that I have, because the Buddha was very fond of word plays and double meanings, is that he deliberately chose an ambiguous term, that he meant it to refer to imply both totally present and totally gone, utterly immanent, come to suchness, utterly present, and also gone, utterly transcendent, completely beyond. And this principle of awareness that we're talking about and reflecting on so much during this time together has embodies both of those qualities, both total presence and total abandonment, and as an utter letting go and an uninvolvement and a complete objectivity and an utter subjectivity, completely attuned and connected to the world of things and beings, and utterly unencumbered, unentangled. And to the thinking mind, it's like, well, is it A or B? Is it arrived or is it gone? Is it here or is it not here? What? Yeah. But the rational mind is a useful tool, but you can't use it to measure the fundamental reality of things. It doesn't have enough dimensions to really represent the Dhamma. It can only point. It can use words and concepts to point at the reality. But that truth itself, the Dhamma itself, can only be realized through direct awakening and opening of the heart. Also, in this light, then reflecting on what Luang Por was saying the other day about metta being unconditioned, and incidentally, that was the first time I've ever heard that said. Just in case any of you were wondering, Luang Por was very gifted at being able to come up with fresh angles on teachings or ways of using familiar Dhamma terms or ideas that no one's ever thought of before, or certainly not customary angles. And so when he was talking about that the other evening, I thought, oh, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. But then I was considering it today and exploring it some more during the meditation and discussions with people, and I realized, well, actually, I have thought of it in that way before, and that. But maybe not in quite those same terms, because what I found is that rather than metta being thought of as some kind of particular practice or a separate form of meditation, of say consciously developing loving kindness as a particular mind state, and spreading that out to ourselves and other beings. I often like to talk about it and refer to it myself. I often will say how that if we want to develop any kind of concentration or insight, that there needs to be the heart has to be established in loving kindness before any kind of concentration or insight can be developed. That rather than being a sort of secondary or extra practice, because sometimes metta is it's like a sort of after dinner mint. Like let's do sort of 10 minutes of metta to end the evening, or like let's sort of do a little metta just to sort of warm things up and kind of brighten the ambience a little. But rather than thinking, and obviously that's not entirely how people think of it, but it can easily go that way. So it's far more useful and practically how I tend to relate to it, and I feel what Luang Por was talking about was how what loving kindness is rather than just as a sentiment of I want you to be happy, I want all beings to be happy. It's far more radical than that. It's that that recognition within the heart that everything belongs. Everything belongs, and that, and as the kind of language that he has used over the years, rather than metta being like trying to like everything, but it's more to do with not dwelling in aversion to anything, and that sort of language is most helpful to us. It's like a radical acceptance that everything belongs. So whether it's things that we approve of and we like, goodness and kindness and wholesome behavior and respectfulness, or whether it's violence and aggression and selfishness and greed and jealousy and anger within ourselves or in the people around us, is recognizing that all these things are part of nature, our nature and the nature of the world. The king snake out in the on the path, that even though it might not be dangerous to us, it certainly sounds like it's dangerous to rattlesnakes. Probably it gives the gophers and the ground squirrels a hard time as well. Violence is part of nature. It's part of our nature. Anger, aggression, fear, jealousy. These are part of the whole system. They're part of the universe. Everything belongs, and it's that quality of metta that is unconditioned or unconditional. Is that attitude, that recognition that everything belongs. So my restless feelings of my mind, the focused and peaceful feelings of my mind, the lustful impulses, the fearful impulses, the generous and kind impulses, the clear moments, the confused and chaotic moments, the well-coordinated and orderly thoughts, and the utterly bizarre, chaotic, meaningless thoughts. Other people's thoughts, that sometimes when we're sitting here in the hall all together, you might find something wandering through that you recognize, I never used that phraseology. Where did that one come from? That must have leaked in from somebody 3 rows behind. Or from 3 lifetimes ago, who knows. But the recognition or the attitude of metta is that it all belongs. The clear and the wholesome, and the chaotic and the wild, the profane and the beautiful, the sacred and the mundane. It all belongs. And then, on that basis of recognizing that everything belongs, it couldn't exist if it wasn't part of nature. Then, on that basis of total acceptance and recognizing everything belongs, then we can bring in the quality of a discriminating wisdom that recognizes, well, if this is followed, then it'll lead to more confusion and chaos and conflict between myself and others. And if this is followed, then it'll lead towards more clarity and peace and understanding. And so it's not that you're looking at the one as intrinsically good and the other as intrinsically bad, but it's just more of a question of, well, which direction do you want to go? Like when you get out onto the driveway outside of Spirit Rock, of course you turn right. Everybody turns right, first of all. But if you want to go to San Francisco, then after you've turned right, then you loop back through Woodacre, and you head left. You go down Sir Francis Drake, heading eastwards. And that's where you want to go to San Francisco. If you want to go to Point Reyes or you want to go out to Petaluma, then you keep going right. So if you want to go to San Francisco, it's not that rightness is evil or intrinsically bad or delusory. It's just that's not where you want to go. If you want to go to San Francisco, it's going to be a really long run. If you turn right and keep going right, you're not going to get to where you want to go. So it's on that basis then that we are steering the mind towards what is wholesome, what is beautiful, what is noble, what is modest and generous, and steering away from what is chaotic, what is destructive, what is painful to ourselves and others. So that it's a recognition. These are simple worldly dhammas, wholesome and unwholesome. But if there's that basis of metta, first of all, then we're not reacting blindly to the things that are good that we then grab hold of and say, yeah, this is great, or the things that are unwholesome, oh, this is terrible, that's bad, how can I do that? And that because of the fundamental understanding that there's this recognition that everything is part of the natural order, it's all Dhamma, everything belongs. So this is a teaching is invariably useful, and I would really encourage recollecting this in terms of all of the way the different dimensions of working with the mind during this time together, and in our efforts of spiritual training generally. Because it's so easy to fall into concrete judgments. So this is good, that's bad. This is good about me, this is bad about me. This is what we praise or criticize in other people, and it reflects a fundamental lack of metta for ourselves and for other beings and other aspects of the world. And that when we recognize that and shift the attitude so that we establish a genuine and real basis of metta, of loving kindness, when there's the effort to truly make that the foundation, then the steering of the mind towards focusing, towards concentration, steering it towards insight and the qualities of wisdom, then they are all in tune with Dhamma. They're not feeding the dualistic habits of this is good, that's bad, this is right, that's wrong, this is beautiful, that's ugly, I approve of this, I disapprove of that. Because all of that will continually feed into Sakkaya Ditthi and concretize that sense of self and other and feed those habits of alienation. When there is that basic metta, that basic love and appreciation, acceptance for all things, even the most ugly and nasty secret sides of ourselves that we really don't want anyone to know about, that we're really afraid that someone's going to find out about one day. All of that we can accept all of those dimensions, all those attributes of our being, and recognize, yeah, well, that's part of it too. This is part of the whole mixture. And then let the heart relax around that, to have that quality of respect and acceptance. Then surprisingly enough, even though we talk about it in terms of accepting ourselves, then in that very deep and genuine acceptance, that real love for even the totally unlikable elements of our being, that we're really regretful of, or embarrassed about, or pained by the recollection of, that it's mysterious how it works, that in that acceptance of it, then there's also a genuine apprehension of its transparency, its insubstantiality. As long as we're regretting it and fearing it and bewailing it and hiding it and not wanting to acknowledge it, then we solidify it, we reify it. But in that quality of recognizing that it belongs, and having metta for that, and also in the other events of our lives, or the people that we share the world with, and those figures that of those in our world who've hurt us or deliberately caused us pain, or caused others pain, that to find a place in the heart where we genuinely know that they belong, and that we allow that in and know that, fully accept that, then we are able to know the insubstantiality of that too. And then out of that appreciation of the emptiness of things, then we find a natural response can flow. If there's something to be done about some aspect of our nature or the world that we live with, and then we act from that. If there's nothing to be done, then we can leave things alone and allow things just to be known and to be felt as they are. So I'd like to offer these thoughts for your consideration. Please take whatever is useful.
करुणा मुदिता
अभी में करेंगे ना करुणा और मैत्री
किस पेज पर है?
जो कर रहे हैं रोज करते हैं ध्यान सब बीती हो विभंजन
अच्छा
प्रवचन समय आ गया ठीक से प्रवचन ठीक से समय आ गया मन में भाव रहना है नहीं बोला तो नहीं बोला क्या फर्क पड़ता है बोलना मैं तो
सब बीती हो
बोलना मैं तो नहीं ध्यान करना मैं तो Now let us practice Karuna and Metta as we've been doing for the present situation. करुणा ब्रह्म विहार का प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए हम लोग अपने मन में उन सभी जाने अनजाने लोगों को चाहते हैं जो कष्ट में हो दुख में हो और इस समय लाखों लोग कष्ट में हैं बीमार हैं परेशान हैं क्वारंटाइन में हैं तो उन सबको जिस हद तक हम ला सकते हैं अपने विजुअलाइज कर सकते हैं मन के अंदर विजुअलाइज देम एंड विश देम वेल और अपने मन में उनके प्रति करुणा जगाते हैं सभी ब्रह्म विहारों का अभ्यास लोगों को विजुअलाइजेशन के आधार पर किया जाता है, तभी सक्षम हो पाता है। कुछ लोगों को जिनको हम स्वयं जानते हैं, पहले उनको याद करें, वो कष्ट में हैं, फिर दूसरों को, फिर उनको जिनके बारे में हमने सुना है समाचारों में या देखा है टीवी में या पढ़ा है, तो एक एक करके सबको, जितनों को भी याद कर सकें। लाखों लोग जो बीमारी से ग्रस्त हैं और करोड़ों लोग जो इस आशंका से ग्रस्त हैं कि कहीं हमें भी ना हो जाए, अपने घरों में बंद हैं, परेशान हैं, उन सब के दुख को देखते हुए मन में करुणा जागती है। करुणा हमेशा किसी एक्टिविटी से के रूप में प्रकट होनी चाहिए। सामान्यतः ये कहा जाता है कंपैशन शुड मैनिफेस्ट इन एक्शन, पर इस समय ऐसी स्थिति है कि कुछ भी एक्शन हम करने में सक्षम नहीं है, सब लोग बंधे हुए हैं। तो केवल एक ही एक्शन कर सकते हैं कि उनके लिए शुभकामनाएं रखें, उनके लिए ये भाव लाएं कि उनका दुख दूर हो, कष्ट दूर हो। तो इसलिए जो हमने चैंटिंग छोटी सी नोट की थी हमारी पुस्तिका से, उसको कहते हैं 3 बार मन से, अपने हार्ट से, रिमेम्बरिंग द सफरिंग एंड देन वी स्पीक फ्रॉम द हार्ट। याद करके किस तरह से लोग अस्पताल में बंद हैं और कोई उनको जाके देख नहीं सकता, अकेले हैं, मरणासन है, फिर भी कोई उनको जाके देख नहीं सकता, मिल नहीं सकता, उनको सांत्वना नहीं दे सकता। सवीतियो विभाजन्तु सोको रोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। सवीतियो विभाजन्तु सोको रोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। सवीतियो विभाजन्तु सोको रोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। अभी उन सबको याद करके, उन डॉक्टरों को, उन पैरामेडिक स्टाफ को जो उन सब की सेवा कर रहे हैं, अपनी परवाह न किए हुए, अपनी सुरक्षा की परवाह न किए करते हुए उनके प्रति कृतज्ञता का ज्ञापन करते हैं। से ग्रेटिट्यूड टुवर्ड्स देम, और उन सभी के प्रति और उन सब के प्रति जो कि एसेंशियल सर्विसेज बनाए हुए हैं ताकि हमें खाने पीने का सामान मिल सके, आवश्यकता अनुसार दवाइयाँ मिल सके, उन सब के प्रति अपने पुण्य अर्जित करते हैं। जो कल परसों लिख के भेजा था उसको पढ़ते हैं। पुण्यस्य इदानि याना अन्यानि कतानि मे ते संच भागिनो हन्तु सत्तानन्तपमानका। पुण्यस्य इदानि याना अन्यानि कतानि मे ते संच भागिनो हन्तु सत्तानन्तपमानका। पुण्यस्य इदानि याना अन्यानि कतानि मे ते संच भागिनो हन्तु सत्तानन्तपमानका। I will do the full metta chant.
हम अवेरोमि अव्यापज्योमि अनिगोमि सुखी अतानं परिहरामि। मम माता पितु आचार्या च ज्ञातिमित्ता च सब्रह्मचारिणो च अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अतानं परिहरन्तु। आरक्षा देवता भूमट्टा देवता रुक्कता देवता आकाशता देवता अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अतानं परिहरन्तु। सब्बे सत्ता सब्बे पाना सब्बे भूता सब्बे पुग्गला सब्बे अत्ता भाव पर्यापन्ना सब्बा इतियो सब्बे पुरुषा सब्बे हरिया सब्बे अनरिया सब्बे देवा सब्बे मनुष्या सब्बे विनिपातिका अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अतानं परिहरन्तु।
पश्चिमाया दिशाया पश्चिमाया दिशाया उत्तराया दिशाया दक्षिणाया दिशाया प्रथमाया अनुदिशाया पश्चिमाया अनुदिशाया उत्तराया अनुदिशाया दक्षिणाया अनुदिशाया ईतिमाया दिशाया उपरिमाया दिशाया सब्बे सत्ता
सब्बे पाना सब्बे भूता सब्बे पुग्गला सब्बे अत्ता भाव पर्यापन्ना सब्बा इतियो सब्बे पुरुषा सब्बे हरिया सब्बे अनरिया सब्बे देवा सब्बे मनुष्या सब्बे विनिपातिका अवीरा होन्तु अव्यापज्जा होन्तु अनीका होन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु दुःखामुच्चन्तु यथा लड्डा सम्पत्तितो मा विगच्छन्तु समस्का कामदायादा कामयोनि कामबन्धु कामपटिशरणं यं कामं करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति यावा भवका च अधो यावा विच्युतो समन्ता चक्रवालेषु ये सत्ता पृथ्वीचरा अभयापज्जा निविराज निर्दुःखा च अनुत्तरवा ततं यावा भवका च अधो यावा अविच्युतो समन्ता चक्रवालेषु ये सत्ता पृथ्वीचरा अभयापज्जा निविराज निर्दुःखा च अनुपद्रवा ऊर्ध्वं यावा भवगा च अधो यावा विच्युतो समन्ता चक्रवालेषु ये सत्ता आकाशे चरा अव्यापज्जा निविराज निर्दुःखा च अनुपद्रवा सब्बे सत्ता सुखी होन्तु सब्बे होन्तु सुखिनो सब्बे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा किञ्चित् पापमागमा मा किञ्चित् सुखमागमा मा किञ्चित् सुखमागमा भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तम् अभिवादयामि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि सुपठितन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि